Hi, and welcome to Integrative Wisdom. Today is Tuesday, so we are actually focusing on some of the basics of integrative wisdom, which really is all about creating a healing practice to enhance and improve our day-to-day life and the lives of those around us. So, welcome. I actually had to make my coffee cup of the day. Because this is what we're going to be talking about. And yes, it's backwards, but it says perception. And so today, I just wanted to touch on the idea of is the world the way that we see it or perceive it, or is the world vastly different? And that, in fact, um, there can be as many different views as there are people, perhaps. And so, um, what does that do to our certainty, right? If the way that we see the world is really not the way that the world is. So, one of the components that integrative wisdom tries to encourage individuals to do is consider their beliefs. Their assumptions about how the world and the people around them work, how things are. And one of the thoughts that I had this morning when I was considering how to present this topic was the idea of way back in the day when the earth was flat. No debate, no doubt about it. Earth is flat. And then all of a sudden, a troublemaker came along and said, I don't think so. Because, those ships way out there at sea, when they get to that edge, they would just like fall off. But they don't. So there's something going on there. And eventually, science came along and said, let's prove once and for all the earth is indeed not flat, and it is indeed round. Can you imagine how that upset people's worldviews and threw them for a loop? Because something that they had been told, something they thought they could actually observe with their own vision, had now been disproven. So, our beliefs, the things that we hold so just basic to our day-to-day existence. The way that things are happening right now, I don't even know where the truth is. I can't follow the wisdom. I can't follow the thread that holds these different things together. And so, in the news, on social media, I am just shaking my head and trying to figure out where the truth is. And, I'm beginning to imagine that perhaps based on our perception, the truth is going to look very different depending on which chair at the table we sit, right? And yet, I imagine there have to be some basics that hold true. However, think about food. And someone creates a meal, and you come along and you taste it. And you say, oh my gosh, it's perfect. Spices are absolutely spot on. And then Joe Blow over here comes along and says, oh my gosh, it's so salty. You added way too much salt. And then The other one comes along and says, but it's too hot. No problem with salt, but it is way too spicy. And then everybody looks at each other and it's like, what the heck? Well, come to find out, everybody's taste buds are different. And what we experience is actually true based on our taste buds. Exact same spices, but a different tool through which to experience it. Think about the rods and cones in our eyes. People look out at color and swear that that's blue. And then here comes Joe Blow again, saying, no, 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 it's green. And then somebody else comes along and says, it's kind of just muddy gray. What's happening here, people? So our reality is based on so many factors that we never may really get to the gist of what the reality really, really, really is. Think of smell, the olfactory system. Someone else can come along and go, oh my gosh, that rose is so fragrant. Somebody else comes along there, I don't smell anything. There's no smell here. Who's right? Based on their experience, they both are. They both are. And yet that doesn't reflect the reality. And even the person who really smells may have a different way of smelling than what the rose actually intends. Right? So there are those that say, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we think they are. So no wonder there's so much confusion in the world. No wonder there's so much chaos. And then if you add to it individuals who perhaps have less than honorable intentions, who have their own definite belief about how things should go. And so they're going to do everything they can to help us see things from their lens. Yeah. And if we don't examine and if we don't recognize that we come with a perspective, that we have a certain belief system, that we have been brought up in a certain environment, in a certain world, in a certain way, through our experiences, conditioned, if you will, to see the world this way and then look for proof that we're correct, right? So one way to grow in self-knowledge is to examine those beliefs that we hold most dear, to see if there are other perspectives out there that we have never entertained, right? So trying on different points of view will make the world feel less safe. But right now, boy, it doesn't really feel safe to a lot of us, perhaps. We've been hunkered down because of coronavirus. Then we're hunkered down because of the riots. And then what are we going to be hunkered down next? And, on and on and on. So what a great time to actually explore. We're already off balance. We're already off balance, right? All right. So what can we do? What can we do if we want to test this idea about the world being perhaps much different than what we experience, and maybe much more interesting, much more challenging, much more engaging? Who knows? So let's do this. How about if we make a list? Make a list. Clipboards are always nice. Of like your top 10 or even your top 5 cherished beliefs. And this might be a little bit difficult because a belief is so ingrained that we don't even realize that it's a belief that we hold. Kind of like the earth is flat. There was no other option. So it could involve so many things. One of my beliefs is I know that I don't know. I can keep trying. I believe that I can keep trying to find out things. But write them down, and then for a week or so, maybe till our next Integrative Wisdom video, try to look for opposite or opposing views, different perspectives, different ways of seeing this particular issue. Try them on. And then observe your mind as it goes into a little bit of chaos, as it says, I'm not going to entertain that. I'm not going to think that way. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. Try it out. See what happens. Maybe a little bit more disequilibrium and uncertainty in a whole different way will open us up as we go forward, because we are not going to go back. We're not going to go back. We're going to go forward. And we're going to go forward depending upon what we believe is important. Right? What are those values that we hold dear? And those are probably a part of that belief system. And maybe they need to be challenged right now because they're not the way that the world is. Maybe the world wants things to be a little bit different, challenging us. I don't know. I'm not going to put any thoughts out there because I want you to do your own work. I want you to do your own work. So write a list, top 5, top 10 beliefs, and look for opposing views. And see if you can open up to other perspectives. This may even be people in your life that you butt heads with all the time. Different perspectives, different ways of seeing the world. Entertain their point of view for a little while and see what happens. Maybe even ask them to go on the experiment with you. Hey, could you try this opposing view? Let's try these on and see what happens. What could it hurt? What could it hurt? Oh yeah, it could make you feel dizzy. It could get you off center. It could move you in a whole new arena that you weren't ready for. And yet maybe you were, because you've tried it. At any rate, that is our Integrative Wisdom for this week. And here's my coffee cup of the day, and I made it. I love it. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you soon. Tomorrow, Soul Catalyst Card Day.